welcome back to the Arkan's Hearth, a Not Dead Yet production. I am the Ginger, and I'm the host of today's episode. And I stole Pixie's rat chain, don't tell, and two in front of me.
Hi, this is Thorin Wolf, owner of Arkan's Juice Tavern and Arkan's Hearth Gaming, where we are finally in our dungeon, which is a gaming room.
Where we're supposed to be the whole time.
Where we're supposed to be the whole time, recording for the very first time. My fun fact today is Pixie is trying to burn down the building. All they do is smell smoke. And to my left...
Well, hi, everybody. This is Michael Jason Chandler. So very glad to be sitting here judging the Pixie. And sitting in the dungeon, our forever home, supposedly. I am sitting where the car came through and destroyed the wall. Right there,
Just right there.
I'm right here. And to my left...
is the Pixie. Are we in the dungeon? Because I've been bad.
Oh, God.
Oh, damn.
We haven't...
Let's cut that out!
Do we want to try that again?
So, I was just going to say... Oh, bad. Oh, God, Daddy. Okay. Wait.
Everyone, bear with me. This is my first time hosting, obviously.
Everybody stare at the ginger.
Don't stare at the ginger. I will turn into a lobster if you stare at the ginger.
Not as easy as you thought it was, is it?
I'm trying my best. Okay. Anyway.
Just kidding, folks. She's doing a wonderful job.
Absolutely.
On a more serious note, today I'm covering the West Mesa Murders. It's a case that I feel very strongly about that happened here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is about 3 hours from us.
Isn't it also referred to as the West Mesa Bone Collector?
Yes, that was
That's
the
another
name
one?
they gave
The killer.
the case, the killer,
Yeah.
as it was going.
What a horrible thing. I hate when they name these guys. They don't deserve it.
In February of 2009, on the western edge of Albuquerque, New Mexico, a quiet stretch of desert revealed a truth that would haunt the city and forever change dozens of families' lives. What began as a simple walk with a dog became the opening chapter of one of the largest unsolved homicide investigations in New Mexico history. Beneath the sand and scrub of the West Mesa lay the remains of 11 women and one unborn child. For years, these women had been missing, some searched for desperately and others quietly slipping from public view. When they were finally discovered together, their disappearances were no longer isolated tragedies, but part of a single, devastating story. On February 2nd, 2009, a woman went out walking her dog. Everyone's going to ask the name of the dog. His name is Ruka. He's a good boy.
I'm sure he was a really good boy.
Yes. She was walking on the West Mesa. It was a familiar place to her. Her name was Christine Rock. She regularly went walking with her dog on that path. It's an open desert, wind, dust, long views, nothing there.
That's the Sandia Mountains, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering, picturing it in my head.
Yeah, West Mesa is the Sandia Mountains.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you like deserts, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely. The sunsets are amazing.
I say nothing there. There's desert plants, but,
And
they're
coyotes.
not as pretty as everything else.
Coyotes and wild dogs.
Coyotes and jackrabbits.
A lot of space for walking.
The elusive jackalope.
There's no
Stop.
jackalopes.
Stop. Just stop.
They're not really.
Jackalope. Shut up.
Anyway, as Christine was walking Ruka suddenly became interested in something that was half buried in the ground. When she looked closer, she realized it was a bone, and it didn't look like a normal animal bone that you would see in the desert. Because if you live in this area, if you walk through the desert, you'll see deer carcasses, deer bones, rabbit bones.
Yeah.
They're just out there.
It's the desert. Things die there.
Nature. Yeah. Nature has a way.
Yeah.
And not much water. It's a desert.
Yeah.
That's true.
So she called her sister, who was a registered nurse, because she just didn't believe it was an animal bone. Her sister confirmed what she had already feared. It was a human femur, at least what appeared to be one. So Christine immediately contacted the Albuquerque Police Department, and officers arrived and secured the area and began a search of the area. What started as a single bone quickly expanded into a scene that would shock the city.
Bum, bum, bum.
And this was crazy. I remember when this was brand new, and I've always been really into true crime, and this one just shook me because you know Ted Bundy, you know all of these guys, and this was something just as horrible as any of the heavy hitters. And it was over there. I mean, this is 3 hours from where we're sitting. It is close.
I have never heard of this case. Not once. But this, the way you described it, just all I see is CSI. This is crazy.
So this was actually the case that got me into true crime.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I first started listening to true crime, I was listening to another podcast. It's called Crime Junkies. Love them. It was their first episode, and I had only lived in New Mexico for like 3 years at the time. And they were like, there may be a serial killer on the loose in New Mexico. And I was like, there's a serial killer on the loose? But
There's roughly 30 to 50 serial killers in the United States at any given moment. And every single human being will walk by someone who's killed someone
Oh, God.
at least 10 times in their lives.
That is such a scary thought.
Okay. As investigators searched the area, they discovered shallow burial pits scattered across the mesa. Over the following weeks and months, excavation revealed skeletal remains. Eventually, 11 women and 1 unborn child were confirmed. The women had been buried years earlier, some as far back as 2001. The desert had altered the landscape, wind, erosion, and time, making the graves difficult to detect.
You said going back to 2001, when was this happening?
So they were discovered in 2009. So
2009.
the earliest had been there for 8 years.
Wow. Okay.
Dang.
And 8 years in the desert we'll see later as I talk about it. It will make it quite hard to find anything. Like it's just bones.
Oh, erosion, wind,
You know,
sand.
they
Like,
were
Animals. I can tell you that
Absolutely.
animals pulled as the bones eroded out, animals just pulled them apart and
Oh,
took
yeah.
stuff.
Oh, yeah, coyotes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
oh,
coyotes
they'll
big
just
time.
dig and pull it out themselves. Like,
Yep.
you don't even have to wait for the. Sorry.
No, yeah, no, you're totally right.
Absolutely. So the forensic work was slow and painstaking. They were taking care to not damage anything. Investigators worked carefully to find every fragment because they had to find as much as they could to try to solve this case. The families of the missing women were notified and brought into the process with care. For some, the discovery brought long-awaited answers, and for others, it opened new. The women found on the West Mesa ranged in age from 15 to 32, which 15 is crazy to me. Yes.
Yeah, I've got a 13-year-old daughter, so you say 15, that definitely hits me where I live.
How many bodies did you say they were?
11 and 1 unborn child.
Okay. Did they find the identities of these women?
Yes, I have a list.
Yeah, eventually they did, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It took a little bit. It took a few months to find all their identities, but they did eventually.
Luckily, I mean, kind of spoiler alert, and I know you'll talk about this, but there was someone already actually looking for them.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'll discuss
Like
that.
a super cop.
Yes.
That is all.
Beautiful.
So the women, they all came from different backgrounds, but many shared experiences of vulnerability. Some struggled with addiction. Some experienced homelessness, some were involved in sex work, but none of those facts diminish who they were. They were loved by their families. They were people too.
That drives me nuts, the idea that it somehow diminishes them. And I know that's not what you're saying, but the weird thing we have as a society where if somebody does sex work or is drug addicted, that we for some reason think they deserved to disappear and show up in the West Mesa as bones. That's just heart-wrenching.
Yeah, like people make mistakes.
Well, and life's hard, you
Life's
know?
hard. They are not any less people because of what they did.
Right.
Regardless of their careers or whatever, these are human people.
Human people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Regardless of.
Don't worry, I'm going to use human people. You don't have to re-record that. I'm totally going to use human people.
These were human people. Like they had lives, they had children, they had families. Like
Yes.
people loved these human peoples.
When I studied psychology, which I studied for 8 years, one of my favorite professors said something that always stuck with me. And that was that every experience is a human experience. Everything that we go through, everything that people do, these are something that anyone could do. Anyone can become drug addicted. Anyone can join a cult. If you don't think you can join a cult, you're the person most likely to join a cult because you're not paying attention. Ultimately, human experiences and human tragedy are not a limited thing. And anyone can be at their very bottom and their very worst. And we have to remember that that doesn't mean that that person is any less. Actually, the opposite. We need to lift those people up.
Exactly.
Agreed.
You were asking about the names. I have the list of names.
Okay.
So there was Jamie Barella. She was 15, and she was last seen March 26 of 2004. She disappeared with her cousin, Evelyn Salazar, age 27. They were last seen at a family gathering, and they wandered off and were never seen again.
Imagine that, though, like going to a family gathering and that's the last time that you're seeing
It's heartbreaking.
family members, dude. Like,
It is heartbreaking. There was Monica Candelaria. She was 22, last seen May 15th of 2003.
That's crazy. I know so many Candelarias.
I know, me
I
too.
know.
That's a lot of family. I think there are just a lot. It's a common name in this state, but just like,
It makes me wonder if any of the ones I know are related.
are related to this poor girl. Yeah.
I'm kind of shocked by the two going missing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me wonder if there's more than one killer.
Or just, unfortunately, and this just comes from way too much consumption of true crime, pointing a gun at two girls and saying, get in the trunk is not that uncommon in these sorts of situations.
Especially if one was a teenager.
Right.
There was Victoria Chavez, age 26. She was last seen June 5th, 2004, and she was the first victim to be identified when police were trying to identify everyone. There was Virginia Cloven. She was 24, last seen April 13th, 2004. Selena Edwards. She was also 15. She was last seen August 17th, 2003, and she is the only victim that was not from New Mexico originally. She was actually from out of state. There's Cinnamon Elks. She was 32. She was last seen August 20th, 2004, and she was the second one to be identified. After that, I couldn't figure out the order they identified everyone in. There was Doreen Marquez. She was 24. Last seen October 10th, 2003. There was Julia Nieto, I believe is how you say it. She was 24. Last seen July 15th, 2004. And she was reported 3 weeks after she went missing by her mother. Her mother was interviewed in one of the things that I was watching to get information on this case. There was Veronica Romero. She was 28, last seen February 14th, 2004. And there was Michelle Valdez. She was 22, last seen September 22nd, 2004, and she was the one that was pregnant when she passed away. And her mother was also interviewed.
So when the dog found the first femur,
Mm-hmm.
whose did that belong to?
I did not find any information on that.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm assuming the first one that was identified was the one that was found first. Because they had
I
the
actually,
longest time.
if I may interrupt, I apologize. I don't think that's true, actually. I've been following this since it happened.
I didn't take the time to look at
No.
And
I don't know that it's in there. I've never seen anything that said, and I don't think that I think they have to be careful about too many salacious rumors. I think that, you found a bone and then you identified people. I don't know that I've ever seen anything, and I have followed this since it was brand new.
Yeah, and they didn't discuss it in anything that I read or watched. So
I just think it's tragic because I want to point out, the police got a lot of flack on this case. A lot of people said that the police didn't do a good job on this case. And, what people need to realize is so many of these women, their family members, when questioned, said flat out, they go, they come, they go, they're transient, they'll show up. And the fact that they didn't ever again was something that became, that's the reason why until their bones were found, a lot of times the police didn't focus too heavily, is because literally their own family members said, oh, the transient, not always, but in some of these cases, there was just not the, sometimes it's because of the concept of the less dead. When people do look at sex workers and drug addicts as whatnot as being less important than people who don't, quote unquote, bring it on themselves. I don't believe that, but that's what a lot of people think when it comes to that. Unfortunately, in this case, too, they were kind of behind the eight ball. These guys, it's been 9 years. These bones have been sitting in the desert. And many of these women, even if they were reported missing, the police did investigate, and family members said, oh, they disappeared. They'll be back.
Real quick, I want to touch on the importance of the idea that bad things happen to people because of the way that they are dressed. That is absolutely not true. It has never been true. You can ask any survivor of sexual assault what they were wearing at the time. Most of the time, it was just normal, everyday clothes.
Well,
it doesn't matter what somebody is dressed like. Nobody is asking for this to happen.
Yeah. Well, that has actually been made illegal. I don't know if you know that. It's no longer legal for lawyers. That was a thing in the old days when a woman would accuse someone of rape when they were in court.
What
lawyers,
were you wearing at the time?
Yeah, what were you wearing at the time? That's been made illegal because there is no connection to it.
Unfortunately, though, whether it's illegal or not, it's still something that people are going to bring up.
People do
especially in a situation like this where these people may or may not have been sex workers. it's definitely something that people are going to be like, oh, well, what were the circumstances like? Could they have brought this upon themselves? And I don't think that is a fair
Nobody
assumption
ever brings
to
it
make.
No, nobody deserves any of this ever.
And I know from my research that is the way some people reacted to this case. What I saw, though, the police did not react this way to the case, as we'll talk about later. They just were taking the information they were given by the families that did report the people that go missing, but not every woman on this list was reported for a long time.
And there are a lot of names they still hadn't found the women. That's the
we're
other
about
thing.
to get to that.
Okay.
So long before the bodies were discovered, there was one investigator that was already paying attention to these women that were going missing. Her name was Detective Ida Lopez, and she was noticing a pattern in about 2004, 2005, around the time a lot of these women were disappearing, that young Hispanic women were disappearing all across Albuquerque. And she did what she could. She treated it with urgency and compassion. She met with the families. She tried to get reporters involved, but her list kept growing, and she realized the pattern stretched back to at least 2001. So I have another list of names. These are women that could be possible victims that were on her list. So there was Darlene Trujillo. She was 20. Last seen July 4th, 2001. There was Martha Lucher. I think that's how you say it. Age 32. Last seen September 3, 2003. Anna Vigil, she was 20.
I'm going to have to say Anna Vigil, I believe
Is
is
it
how that's
Vigil?
pronounced.
She was 20, and she was last seen January 21st, 2005. There was Felipa Gonzalez, age 22. She was last seen April 27, 2005. Nina Heron, age 21. Last seen May 14th, 2005. Jillian Henderson Ortiz, she was 19. Last seen January 16th, 2006. Chantel Waits, 29. Last seen March 15th, 2006. Leah Peebles, age 23. Last seen May 5, 2006. And Vanessa Reed, age 24. Last seen June 13th, 2006.
And so these are victims that are suspected.
Well, they're missing people.
They're just missing people, but they're just guessing that.
Yeah. So they were reported missing. They went missing around the same time as the victims that were found. They have not been found anywhere. They're not known as dead. They're just missing persons right now.
I mean, the racial, they're Hispanic. They went missing the same time. They're in the right age group. They were living in the right area. They were reported or not reported. For the most part, they were found to be missing at roughly the same time. And this detective was collecting these names before anything was found, just recognizing that all of these Hispanic women were going missing. And unfortunately, these are people who either there's another burial site that hasn't been found, or these bones were carried away by animals. There's a lot of different, whatever it is, for whatever reason, they haven't been found. God hope they're alive, but they've been missing for a long time now.
What I was going to say earlier was this was all happening in you said 2003?
Yeah, as early as 2001 all the way through 2006 is when they
So
were
this is
missing.
when I was born up until I was 2 or 3 years old.
When they were found, I was 7.
Well, now I feel old. This is when I was in high
Not
school.
to date all of us, but
Hey, y'all, I was in college and finishing college.
with the dinosaurs.
Yes, me and the mastodons.
But yeah, you and I were very young when all this was happening. We were little kids when this was happening. But also at the same time that this was happening, Albuquerque was dealing with a war on drugs. There was a lot of gang violence. There was a lot of
the war zone in
cartels,
Albuquerque. Absolutely.
lots of stuff happening, and it was even spreading throughout the state. It wasn't just in Albuquerque. You can ask Jason. He's experienced part of it.
Actually, directly. Yeah. Unfortunately, there was such a massive movement of gangs and cartel behavior into New Mexico that the violence was bad. I have had friends I had a friend, a lady I worked with, whose son was killed in a drive-by shooting here in Farmington, New Mexico at Animas Valley Mall. And I myself was attacked by gang members who were attempting to get into a gang when I was 21 years old. So
about this time, folks. And they shattered my skull with a baseball bat. And I have 4 plates and 8 screws in my head. And I'm a traumatic brain injury survivor. And it was because of the gang violence and drug violence. Just to give you a little bit of information on this, if you don't know Farmington and you don't know New Mexico, when all of these gangs were moving into Albuquerque, there is a huge amount of reservation between Albuquerque and Farmington. And actually, you can go to a place called Bloomfield. You can go to a place called Kirtland. You can go to a place called Shiprock. You can go to Farmington, and you can access all of this through tribal roads. And so it became an easy way to traffic drugs through this state using tribal roads because there just aren't that many tribal police.
Well, and Pixie and I took a trip to Phoenix, and we had to go through those tribal roads. Like, there's nothing out there, right, Pixie?
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Like, there's hardly anybody on the roads. There's a couple gas stations here and there, a couple small towns, but nothing that would... Nothing that would really be anything to stop people trying to move drugs back and forth.
Well, and there are police out there, but I want people to understand that we're talking about a huge area crossing 2 states with a very small and unsupported police department, tribal police support. I'm not saying this is not a criticism on tribal police at all. I am not saying that tribal police do not do everything they can do, but they don't have the numbers. They don't have the funding that they need. And this became something that gang members thought, hey, what a great way. And at the time, we had an active airport in Farmington and an airport in Durango, which could both be used to move drugs. They've actually done the security in both places increased exponentially during this time because of all of these things.
And they were taking advantage of a weak spot, too. Yeah.
And unfortunately, and it's still a weak spot. I mean, if you wanted to move something through New Mexico, I'd use the reservation. There are dirt roads that go from here all the way to Santa Fe. And if you know the roads, there's no one on those dirt roads.
Disclaimer, this is absolutely not a podcast on how to tell you how to move drugs.
No.
Now, that being said, I brought that up because before the bodies were found in 2009, Ida Lopez was the only detective on this because they were overwhelmed with all these other things, an increase in overdoses, gang violence.
They had more violence, more guns, more drugs, more deaths than they'd ever had before.
Couldn't just
Welcome to Albuquerque, folks.
They couldn't just spare a whole task force on the missing women, unfortunately, especially when people weren't reporting them for long periods of time, and Well,
it was a theory. We hadn't found bodies. These women could have been alive.
Yeah, and she was just seeing a pattern of missing women. Nobody had been known to be murdered or anything.
And I'd like to bring up, and I've noticed this for a number of years, and this is 2026, and I still check the missing boards, and the number of Hispanic and indigenous women that go missing. Young women in their 20s, black hair, brown eyes, that go missing is still pretty shocking. I'm not sure that this guy just didn't move to another town, And I say guy because, hey, what's the likelihood?
Oh, yeah.
Was there a date where these bodies stopped? The missing?
So, the latest was 2006 on the list that we have. By 2009, when the bodies were found, she had created a list of 23 names. And so I'm sure there's more that fall into this pattern, but those were the ones she had found and put on her list that fell into the pattern she was watching and the areas she was seeing in the reports she got.
And 11 of them showed up in the Mesa.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is she made this list. It had half of this list ended up on the Mesa. Mm-hmm. That was proof that beyond anything anybody needed that she was onto something.
So after the discovery of the bodies, the city of Albuquerque launched a full-scale investigation because, it's not a coincidence that 11 women from one list that they've been watching just show up. They used satellite imagery to study how the land had changed over time, and it helped determine where graves may have been placed or whether there were any more victims on the Mesa. But the excavation took months. The investigators worked methodically and tried to balance speed with respect. The only physical evidence found were an acrylic nail believed to belong to one of the victims and a landscaping nursery tag that was found near one of the graves.
And by only, you mean other than the bodies.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, by the time they had found the bodies, there was no evidence on the bones that could be used for the investigation.
Right. Unfortunately, the desert is not very forgiving when it comes to DNA evidence and, yeah.
No, it sounds like really dumb, but what is a nursery tag?
So it's the tag that they put on the little, saplings at a landscaping nursery. Yeah.
For plant
It
nursery.
was kind of a confusing wording to me, too, but that's how they worded it, and I didn't know how else to write it down. I had to do a double take when I saw it myself, so it's not a dumb question, I promise. But the landscaping tag did lead investigators to a potential suspect. They reviewed the nursery client records, found Joseph Blea.
I believe it's just Bea or something, maybe?
Bea.
I don't know how
Yeah,
it's
the L is
said,
silent,
but also,
I believe.
Yeah.
He's a piece of crap, so I don't really care.
Yeah.
So he was 52 at the time. He was known to dump items on the West Mesa, and he had a documented history of violence against women. They did not have enough evidence to tie him to the West Mesa murders. It was also circumstantial. But later evidence found on his property from searching his garage and stuff led to him being convicted to unrelated sexual assault cases from the 80s and 90s, some of which involved middle school age girls.
Oh my god.
Right.
Yeah, really gross.
Well, and this guy he's a scumbag. And, one thing I want to point out is that the West Mesa is really remote.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very remote area. That's part of the reason it was so hard. It's a remote area. The desert changes a lot more than people really realize, with the wind and elements, erosion. The desert changes a lot, which is why they had to map where graves might have been at one point and where they might have moved. The West Mesa is used by, and it is very telling for me that Mr. Bea or Blea or whatever we want to call him, Joseph, that he was dumping things at West Mesa. That means he was out there. And he was known to use that as a place to get rid of stuff. And he hated women and hurt young women. And so 15 to 30 seems to be his victim profile too, is all I'm saying.
And if he started in the 80s and 90s, he could have escalated. But
yeah, escalation.
This is all alleged because they were never able to truly connect him to this.
I was going to say, Jason, we don't want people hating this guy if he didn't do it. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. And
I hate him anyway. But
in most cases, I will be more careful with alleged, but he's not alleged. I'm not saying he's the killer. I'm saying he raped a bunch of little girls.
Oh, yeah, no,
he's convicted of that.
Absolutely.
So I don't have to say he is allegedly a predator of little girls. He is. He's convicted. Yes. So we only have to say, so when it comes to him being the West Mesa killer, he's allegedly. It's possible. When it comes to him being a piece of crap that hurt little girls,
yes,
yeah, he's guilty.
No, absolutely, I agree.
Found guilty, and I don't have to say alleged because he was found guilty.
Sorry, I never mind. Maybe if you'll cut that out. I apologize.
We'll edit somewhere.
Okay,
no, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I do need to keep up my allegedly for things that aren't.
We knew
proven.
He was in the area.
Oh yeah,
we know that he was using it for dumping.
Yeah, he knew the area.
These are things that we know as fact.
Yeah, the facts are we know he was in the area. We know he used it to dump things that he didn't want anymore because he thought no one would catch him. We know he was a predator of young women to older women, the same victim profile. And we know that his victimization of young women led up to what, he was raping young women up until early 2000s when he didn't have any more crimes proven. However, that was when the bone collector started.
Also, in one article I read, I forgot to write this down, but he was quoted calling the victims trashy.
Oh, shit. No, never mind. Screw what I just said. Absolutely. Done.
No, I mean, he's not a good guy. And the fact that his victimizations that were provable ended right when the killings began. And if you know how serial killer profiling works, the escalation right there at the end of the 90s into the early 2000s, the same population, the same age group start showing up dead.
Okay, so I know you did a lot of school on this, and you were in the system a lot. How often do serial killers go back to the scene to do something else?
It depends on the type of serial killer.
Okay.
It does. However, this person, so
I would say from the information on this, because this guy is not so much a product killer, he's what's called a process killer. Those are the two types of serial killers. And so a product killer is someone who is interested in the product, the person, the body. They do this because they want to command something. They want to control something. They want that body. They want that person for whatever reason. And so when they take a victim, it's to have that victim. It's to possess them. That is a product killer. A process killer, it's about the process. It's about the opportunity to hurt something, to kill something, to destroy. And I say something, I'm not trying to diminish those women. I'm saying that this person doesn't see them as human. It is the process that they love. When they discard the bodies, they don't care about them anymore. They're like garbage. They're just getting rid of them. And that's a horrible thing to say, but.
Again, on that same vein, they talk about a lot how a lot of like serial killers and like people start out killing animals.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of in the same vein of like.
So that's called the McDonald triad. And it's kind of an older way. We used to believe that most serial killers would wet the bed, hurt animals, and start fires. That's not been disproven, but it's greatly diminished in use. Okay. We don't really use it for investigation anymore because there have been found to be a lot of serial killers that don't match the McDonald triad. So the psychological disorders of Machiavellianism, sociopathy, and narcissism. Not all serial killers pee the bed and start fires, but all serial killers are narcissists. And that's one way that you can track to see if someone could be a serial killer is if they've ever been diagnosed with Machiavellianism, with narcissism, and with sociopathy.
He was a piece of crap, but
lovely.
There are other potential theories.
He's just my favorite, folks. Sorry.
It's okay. We can hate on him. He was convicted. So another potential suspect was Lorenzo Montoya, and he lived near the burial site. He also had a history of violence against women. In 2006, he killed a Hispanic sex worker in his home. The victim's boyfriend or quote-unquote business manager were unsure of his actual relationship with said victim. Called 911 because she was taking a really long time in the house. That's what he said in his interview. When the police showed up, Montoya tried to run with her body wrapped in a comforter, and he got killed in a gunfight with the police. No physical evidence was tied to him, so he was never formally named as the killer. There's nothing really there that could name him as the killer, but they stopped disappearing in 2006, and he died in 2006. Mm-hmm. So that's where people are like, maybe he was, and there were no other women in the pattern on the list. Right.
We have one guy that victimized women who went to prison, mm-hmm. and one who died by cop, and both of them disappear in these slaying stops.
Did they know each other?
No.
Okay, never mind. There goes my theory.
That's okay. That's a good thing. It's a good thing to ask.
Yeah. Like, could this have been a co-op operation?
Yeah.
Because that does happen. Not in this case. They, as far as I know, had nothing to do with each other. There were a few other possibilities that were looked into. A few of the mothers reported that their daughters feared a police officer named David, quote-unquote.
They never verified who David is.
They never verified that there even was an officer at the time named David. They did investigate. There was nothing that came of it. They also sent detectives to several different states to follow leads. They explored a possible link to an interstate sex trafficking ring because of Selenia Edwards, who was from a different state, because they thought maybe she had been trafficked to Albuquerque. But to me, that doesn't really fit.
Well, she's the only one that was specific. I mean, so my thing is that unfortunately, a lot of sex workers are trafficked. There is some level of trafficking going on. So she could have absolutely been tracked. And Sylvania Edwards, she was trafficked from Oklahoma. But unfortunately, she could have been trafficked. Half of them could have been, and that wouldn't necessarily make them connected to the killer.
Yeah.
It's just, unfortunately, a lot of sex workers are part of some sort of trafficking.
It's not exactly only sex workers either. So
right.
I used to work for a company who went to the docks in California to go pick up merchandise and stuff and bring them back. Well, there's great deals in shopping down there. So I would go to these shops and stuff, and I'd pick up, this is mid 2000s. So I was like, oh, this cool leather trench coat that cost me 1/5 of what I would buy, at like one of the boutiques because I'm a big boy and I have to buy my stuff special.
Was it for your Firefly cosplay?
No, but I absolutely would. Anyway, like there was absolutely women who were like, "Oh, take me back to New Mexico with you." I don't know you from Adam. What the fuck are you talking about, lady?
But they were trying to get away from
They were
where
trying
they
to
were
get
at.
away from where they were.
That's so sad.
So if they were just running away to get away, absolutely. In fact, actually, I know somebody who brought somebody back from California, totally separate trip, totally separate people, who she got here, robbed his entire house, and then bolted.
Well, yeah.
So
Because she doesn't know that this person, I'm sorry, if she's been trafficked into this country or into this area by someone, they've kept her passport, maybe, they've got something, then some dude agrees to take her home.
Yeah.
I don't know that she's going to be thinking that this is a great situation. So yeah, rob him and run. Why not? Here's an idea, fellas. Don't pick up possibly trafficked women and take them secretly to your home, and they won't murder or rob you. That's my play. I'm just going to stay away from that.
That's what I was always
Maybe
taught,
just report it to the police and let them deal with it.
Listen, I've heard horror stories of picking up random strangers on the side of the road and all kinds of stuff. My dad was not very smart in college.
I'm gonna say that this podcast in general is anti putting your thumb up and asking for a ride. But no hitchhiking, folks. I'm sorry. Too many hitchhiker killers.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I've got a whole story, but I'm not going to digress. We'll talk about it in a different episode.
Do a mini episode someday.
We'll do a mini episode about stupid choices my dad made in college.
The many episodes of your father. Like, this is what my father did when he was young.
Back to the case.
Yeah, that's going to be a mini-sode.
So part of the reason this case is still unsolved, why it's been so hard to solve, the women were buried for some up to like 8 years before they were discovered. And like we've said, the desert is not kind. It destroyed the evidence that could have been there on their bodies. There's not much to be gained from the bones. And the graves were altered, degraded, like animals got into them. It was a solid spot as far as a serial killer hiding bodies. It feels very well planned to me. But also, the fact that some of them weren't reported after they disappeared because their families thought, oh, well, they'll just come back like last time. It made it really hard to track their movements. It made it really hard to find when they actually disappeared rather than when they were just last seen. Who knows? Some of these women may have been still living life for a while before they were actually taken by this killer. So it was a very difficult case, and the police did what they could to try to solve it. In many cases, though, the lifestyles of the victims just made timelines really hard to follow. It's just a whole mess as far as timelines. And the families have expressed frustration with the media. They blame the media for a lot of issues as well because oftentimes the media will focus on salacious facts and not on the women themselves. They believe that their daughters, wives, and mothers were dismissed because of addiction or sex work, or the media just assuming they did that because they had a more transient lifestyle. But they continue to emphasize one truth, that these women were loved and they mattered. In June of 2020, Albuquerque opened the Women's Memorial Park on the West Mesa. The land was blessed and dedicated as a sacred space in memory of these women. It serves as a place of remembrance, reflection, and dignity, but the case is still open. Investigators are still looking for any answers they can find, and the families are still hoping to get some closure. Ida Lopez is still on the case, even though she retired from the police department.
The super cop, I'm sorry. Yeah. Super ex-cop, retired.
If you or anyone you know may have any possible information, you can contact the 118th Street Task Force at 1-877-765-8273 or 505-768-2450, or Crime Stoppers at 505-843-STOP, or you can email Detective Lopez herself at ilopez@cabq.gov.
Did you happen to talk to Miss Lopez.
I wasn't able to get a response.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I've attempted to reach out to police a couple of times on some cases I'd like to do in the future. But a lot of times these are like, especially in a case like this, it's an open case. They really can't talk to us about anything.
No.
They'll take, if we can get people to come forward with information, they'll take that, but they won't talk to us.
And when I was researching, they've already received thousands of tips that they've tried to follow, and nothing has led to solving the case. But you never know when the tip will come in that could lead to something.
Right.
Well, I want to point out because, and we kind of touched on this, but there's a conflict in this case of some people believe that it was a single serial killer or even a team could be. And some people have connected this to possible gang and or drug cartel behavior. I have my opinion, and that's that these killings are ritualistic, that someone chose a very specific burial ground, that the bodies showed up in that burial ground repeatedly over a long period of time. Cartels don't usually kill people one at a time over a long period of time and not let people know that they're doing it. They tend to want people to be scared and recognize that they are exerting authority. Gangs also aren't known for their slow ritualistic killings. That's more of a serial killer thing in my view. I'm a strong believer that this person was a man, probably a single man, that chose a kill site, not unlike Ted Bundy did the same thing in Washington. I will also say that it is my belief that that person moved on, possibly even within the state. As I said, look at the lost and missing people. It's not like 15 to 25 to 30-year-old Hispanic women stop disappearing. It happens here. It happens all throughout this state. And so I still worry that there are other sites that we just haven't found yet.
It's such a scary thought that this could still legitimately be ongoing.
Oh, yeah.
Never caught. And unfortunately, a case like this can go on for a long time. BTK was years and years and years and years. The Golden State Killer was
decades.
Decades.
Oh my gosh.
And this is someone who, it's a joke in New Mexico. If you come from here, it's a joke that if you ever killed somebody, you should dump the body in the desert between Farmington and Albuquerque. People have made that joke since I was a kid.
It's not a joke.
It's not a joke.
Again, I'm just saying this is not a podcast.
We're not teaching
how to become a serial killer.
But it is an area of literally thousands of miles.
Yes.
Of empty, nothing, dry. I mean, and with the old oil field roads, you can get out, not teaching people, don't do this.
These are roads that you only know that there are landmarks.
Right.
To drive by, like Turtle Rock.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? The
Where's Turtle Rock?
It's going towards Cuba.
Towards Cuba. Yep.
Didn't they cut its head off? They made a road that goes in between. Yeah.
They did.
Yep.
They did.
Just saying. Every time we pass that hill, my dad's like, "Oh no, they killed the turtle." I'm like, "Dad, they killed the turtle a long time ago."
Maybe the turtle hit his head in his shell before they cut it off.
Yes.
Like, Bloomfield and Dinosaur.
Then why is his head on the other side of the road?
That's fair. I was trying to make it light.
Unfortunately, I would like to say that this killer could still be at large very easily and could have simply picked one of many. I mean, this is a rural state, folks. There's a lot of open area.
Well, he already had the forethought to choose a place like the West Mesa.
Right.
Who knows where else?
And there's a lot of places like that.
Yeah.
To keep it on a light note, I hope everybody enjoyed listening to the paper rattle.
Listen, guys.
That would be Pixie doing her arts and crafts.
We're hoping that nobody can hear it, okay?
For everyone who...
Hoping.
And I'd also like to say, keep yourself safe. Don't put yourself in a situation where you can be harmed. It's about choosing the right people. It's about staying away. A big dog is never a bad idea. Dogs are wonderful, and killers don't like them.
So my mini poodle doesn't count.
Hey, if you're going to walk in the desert, maybe take a friend group.
Yeah. And a dog.
What if I don't have any friends?
What am I Listen, your mini poodle can be intimidating.
If you'd like, Pixie, I'll take you to the desert. Just leave you somewhere.
Well, my dad also threatened that several times.
So, folks, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate you.
Wait, hold on. I'm supposed to end it because I'm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Man, he's slipping, guys. Okay.
You know
Give
what?
the man a little power, and he's just like whoosh.
Thank you all for listening. Please be nice in the comments. I've never hosted before, but I hope I did a good job for you guys. And I look forward to telling you more horrendous stories in the future about more brutal murders and whatever else happened in this state, because a lot has gone on here. Please follow us on all our socials. Please
Do all
turn
the
on your
things.
notifications.
Like and
So
subscribe.
that you know when we have another episode out. And also, if you're ever in the area, come visit us at Arkansas Tavern.
Absolutely.
But we'll see you next week.
I would like to say,
Yes.
Jen, you did a great job
Yes, you did.
and was a great host.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the break.
That's my best
Thank
friend,
you
you
so
guys.
I did my best.
Okay,
Bye-bye,
bye.
everybody. Bye-bye.